Some of these tools almost ruined my workpiece. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, first off, when making the cuts, I almost had a unrecoverable error here. What the hell? It messed up there. It's easier to cut another cut than it is to try to fix that. This video is brought to you by LoopDot. This is probably the perfect EDC flashlight where you can also play games on it. Apart from rock, paper, scissors, I gotta say rolling dice is pretty satisfying. It even has a little haptic feedback with some vibration on there. But when it comes down to it, this thing is a flashlight. So we can go to flashlight mode. We've got lock mode. We've got the options to change the different settings, like for example the brightness of this, where you can tone this down. Maybe you just can't decide where you want to go. Let this thing decide for you. But make no mistake about it, this is a flashlight. It's a great flashlight. It's got all the features. We can roll this up to get it brighter. We can roll it down. You can hear the clicky functions of it. We can even triple tap it for the strobe. If we hold this button here, we can switch it to the white light. So that was more of a 4000K. This is a 5000. Pretty functional, lots of light output. So I really like the live display backgrounds on this. There's a bunch of different ones that we can choose from. You can use this as like a signaling device where you just clip it to your jacket or something like that because it's got the clip in here. I'll leave a link in the comments below here pretty soon because they are going to sell out quick, I promise you. Should probably get you one while you can. Yeah, this right here is not in a good spot. Like it's comfortable. But I was trying to stop, and the saw didn't stop. Because that was depressed. So I was naturally just squeezing here because your thumb needs to be able to apply pressure to the tool to like maintain. And I pushed the freaking saw on. And then when I tried to let up, it was still going. So that sucks. See, here I am again trying to push it. Now, I've always liked the barrel grip personally. Everyone says, "Oh no, you gotta get the regular handle, man. The D handle's better." I guess they like grabbing things by the D. I've always preferred the barrel grip. When you use this saw, something naturally happens with all jigsaws, and your thumb kind of digs in to kind of maintain control while you're pushing. So if I want to make a right turn, you see your thumb is actually the deciding factor as well as your whole arm. This button right here actually locks this thing in the on position. I'm going to do this below the workbench so I don't put any dust on my finished product here. But by the way, we whitewashed these. I think they turned out pretty good. So we mixed a little bit of water with some paint, whitewashed them. We can still see the wood grain. And yeah, that's what we were going for. And I think it turned out pretty good. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So down here, if I squeeze the trigger, that's going to turn on. That right there, that's the button to engage. So whenever I was using this, I was actually trying to see where I was going to be cutting next, and I wasn't actually trying to keep the saw running. And when I let up, the freaking saw was still going, and I was like, well, that's something I heard anybody talk about. Nobody's told us about this on any channel, and that's because nobody's used the tool probably on some of these channels. They're like, oh, the Flex is the greatest. This is my first time actually using this tool, not just showing you the power. Now, I do believe that this is a great tool because it's a Flex and it has the most power ever. And that's what I was demonstrating. But keep in mind, my first Flex jigsaw was actually a barrel grip. And that's actually a flaw. So be looking for that whenever you're purchasing a jigsaw. Make sure that the stupid button to lock the thing on isn't in a key point where that's like leverage for the tool. It's a no-brainer. Next up, the sand net. So the hook and loop is what I always use. These are the sand net. They came out, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and I didn't like them. And whenever I said this on the live, someone that I really respect said, no, the sand nets are great. And I was like, man, I feel like they're too thin. And I did say they didn't feel like the collected dust is good. Now, he says that they do, and I respect a gentleman's opinion. So they probably do collect dust better. I don't understand how, when you literally got the holes lined up for the extraction points and there's no actual mesh in between the holes, but there's probably something about it. This guy would know. So if they collect dust better, good on them. I feel like they're too thin, and we burned through this one. Obviously because of user error, right? There's no doubt that we probably made some mistakes while sanding. I'm an electrician, this is not my trade. The wood is not my trade. I know a lot about woodworking. My father was a woodworker, and that's how I just know by watching from years. But you can see how this is looking pretty rough. And when we have some used hook and loop, the regular ones, they never actually seem like they'll wear through. I've never actually burned through a disc ever, and then we burned through a disc pretty quickly. So whenever we were sanding the edge of these to get the saw marks off, because we cut this with the rear handle flex, obviously track saw would have been better, but we had what we had, and we did it live. So if you guys want to watch the live and see how we did all this, it's all on there. Yeah, I experienced some burn through pretty quickly. Also, I do a lot of sanding by hand. If you guys watch me sand by hand, I'm actually better than the freaking orbital, just because you're going with the grain and not around the grain, and it's just common sense, right? You're able to push harder, you're able to feel the wood and feel the curves and all that stuff. Tools are great for that, but it's hard to beat like just manual hand tools. Even for an electrician, when you're tightening screws on a receptacle, you want to feel as you're tightening to make sure you're not going to strip the thing out, whatever. Same thing with sanding, I feel. This was all done by hand. Certain points, I was leaving this to dry last night by the oven, and we dropped a little bit of oil right there. So we had to sand this out and scuff it out by hand fairly deep. There's probably a little groove right there. I think we did a pretty good job on covering it up, but it took a lot of manual labor, and you can see where these things are just a lot thinner compared to these. Here's one here we used pretty hard and no sign of burning through. You can see where we're definitely starting to get thinner, but not burning through. My experience with the sand net is to stay away from it. If you guys like them, let me know in the comments below what you like about these the most. I was going to purchase the hook and loop, and then I went to, the tool aisle in the middle of, not the tool aisle, but the clearance aisle, or the Black Friday sales, whatever it is, the propaganda section, and we grabbed this because it was cheaper. I think I made a mistake because I didn't see that it was a sand net. What we're doing here, we're just putting a little bit of urethane, and we got the thick one here. This is the ultimate one coat, whatever, 3 times. We're doing more coats than that. So we're just going through, and we are constantly putting more and more on this. I might do 4 or 5 coats. It dries pretty quickly, and then in between coats, what you do, because you're gonna have a little bit of like high points on this, just from just little roughness, the bubbles, whatever. Get you a 400 sanding block and just run over it really quick, nothing too crazy, before you urethane, and you're going to get like a nice, it's basically liquid plastic. I mean, it's going to protect us a lot better. This one's going to go here for the laundry, and this one's here for the kitchen. We mixed water with paint. Again, go look on the live for the exact measurements. I didn't measure it. I did about that much water and then about 5 seconds of a paint pour in there. And about that much paint. And the result was exactly what we were looking for. A little bit whiter here in the kitchen, a little bit more wood grain. Because I really like when the wood grain pops through. I think the wood is beautiful. You shouldn't be painting it. But also, the house kind of theme is white, and it would clash pretty good. So we made the decision to just whitewash this thing. I think it turned out really good. The Flex multi-tool made the cut into the door trim really nicely, really efficient, very smooth, very easy to predict where this thing was going to be oscillating to. It wasn't really any wild swings or anything. It's a precision tool. It's a very good one. If you guys didn't know, we did all this sanding. It's all live, okay? We had a 6.0 battery on our sander, and we sanded both this and that one multiple times, and the edges a bunch to get the saw marks off. This is hardwood. And we only went through 1 bar of battery on the sander. The Flex sander is probably the best one that you can buy. And you can see here, if the holes line up, man, how can it not have better dust collection? But that's That's just my opinion there. This thing was used very hard and no sign of even trying to burn through. If there's one thing I would have done differently, I would have been more prepared for the length of stroke on the saw blade. I needed to get a fine finished wood. This isn't the blade that I used, but this is an example. You can see where as the saw pulls up, we're going to be starting to jam it into the wood. So pay attention to how long your saw blades are and the thickness of the material that you're trying to cut. Other than that, comment, critique, criticize, let me know what I could have done differently. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.